I'd like to welcome Dr. Lowell Kabnick, who is the Chancellor of the Vein and Lymphatic University. He's also one of the worldwide leaders in venous disease, and besides being one of the former presidents of the AVF, he's actually helped progress the whole endovenous revolution worldwide for the last 20 years. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this podcast. So VLU had in February 2025, from the 26th to the 28th, had a mission down in Guadalajara, a humanitarian mission. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about this?
Thank you, by the way, for allowing me to describe our mission and what VLU, part of its mission is to give back as well as to teach, as well as to do humanitarian missions. So our first real mission was decided by our committee that was headed by Kirshat Bozkirk, decided that we would go to Mexico, and Rebecca Ricci, who's on the committee, volunteered Mexico. And then the interesting thing, part of it, is that I believe that she studied in Guadalajara and then obviously does not work in Guadalajara anymore, but has contacts. So it was interesting that she was able to set up the mission in Guadalajara. And then the mission was going to one of two hospitals. And so it was the Central Hospital of Guadalajara, which with the old and new hospital, they have about 60 residents. So the idea was to really go there on behalf of Anal Lymphatic University to one, teach. And day one, we actually went through some basics in terms of education. And each one of us that was there, and I will mention our names separately, were given a task to educate in a particular topic. And they ranged anywhere from anatomy and physiology, all the way down to particular devices. And then the following day, we had another series in the morning, which was all about case presentations. And this is where we involved the residents as well to give us answers to selected questions that we had, as well as the attendings. And there were attendings, vascular attendings. The chair of cardiovascular surgery was there. The chair of general surgery was there. And I guess it was called the chief medical officer from the hospital was also there. So, and there were other visitors as well. And this was very well done. And there was a lot of back and forth. The following day, we went to do procedures. And so we were involved in the operating room, and there were six of us in terms of our mission. And people that participated were Victor Kanata and Neil Hingorani. That's you, right? And Kathleen Orsvath participated from afar. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it. Ruth Bush was there, Kirshat Bozkirk, and myself, as well as Rebecca Ricci. This was an amazing group of talented vascular surgeons that were able to lead and teach the residents. And what was amazing to me is that the residents scrubbed in. They were actually the scrub nurses, so to speak, and they followed along. During the mission, we understood that we were looking for 50 patients. We didn't realize that we got 35 patients, but most of them were bilateral. And so we were given two operating rooms. And then because they saw that we were doing bilaterals, we were given a third. And we all scrubbed with one another. Some of us were able to scrub with the attendings that were there. I was privileged enough to scrub with the vascular surgeon, and he was very talented. So there was not much teaching, just a lot of discussion. That being said, we did about 66 lower extremities in the basically 2.5 days that we were there. We did foam sclerotherapy. We also used some of the machines that generated foam, the Varixio, the sclerofoam, and it's the Sari technique. We used cyanoacrylate, VenaBlock, and VenaSeal. We use ScleroSafe, which is a new device that is FDA approved in the United States, which generates a Mocha type device. And we utilized both Tesari foam as well as generated foam. There was endovenous laser ablations done, as well as closure fast and Claravane. So we were really well stocked with in-kind grants from different industries, and we were very happy with that. I might add that the Turkish government and Invamed, a Turkish company, were really supportive of us, and we're happy to contribute. That being said, we were very well um, entertained, so to speak, with the difference of how residents are going forth, and I should say they're vascular residents. And what was amazing to me was that they all showed a really keen interest. And fortunately for me, I was the last case, and it happened to have been a bilateral. And there were probably 20 residents in this big operating room. And my scrub was a vascular fellow who was completing her last year of training. And she kept up with me step for step when I was doing ScleroSafe. And when I switched to the other leg, we were going to do endothermal ablation, and it happened to have been laser. And I looked at her and I said, "Are you ready?" And she said, "Yes." And so I gave her the ultrasound and the access needle. And this was the first time that any of the fellows or residents actually took the procedure. And all of the residents got their cameras out, and amazing. She took the ultrasound, she took the access needle, got right in, and everybody took pictures of it. They clapped for her, and it was just a really nice feeling, rewarding feeling. After we finished our procedures, we were then greeted by the faculty, and they were really very nice to us. They serenaded us with a band from the University of Guadalajara, and they sang to us, which was really touching. And then they rewarded each one of us with a particular statue, the friar, that actually founded the university. So we have these as a memento. And not only that, but they were insistent that we come back. So that was another rewarding feeling. Next year, we're looking at an opportunity to go to Vietnam, and that's under development at this point.
It sounds really exciting. It was a really great opportunity, and I think we really enjoyed working with the residents and staff there. The staff was amazingly supportive and really made things move along fairly well. So that was great. But I want to talk a little bit about why do this and how does it fit into VLU's mission?
So part of our mission is to teach. Part of us is to give back care to underserved areas. So our patients were all patients that were in need. They were pretty advanced. Most of them were C4, 5, and 6. They also were government regulated in terms of these patients. They were not private. So they were public patients. This was a public hospital. And that's part of our mission. We want to give back not only from education, but to extend to patients the need of which they have to be taken care of.
I want to thank you for putting all this together. I know you spent a lot of time and effort trying to coordinate all the different pieces, and there are a lot of different pieces. So thank you so much, and looking forward to the next mission, not only in Vietnam, but ongoing and all the other projects that VLU is working on.
Well, thank you very much. We are certainly full speed ahead, even with our WhatsApp group, which is over 1,025, and Anil Hingorani, who's editor-in-chief of VLU Voices, who has done a remarkable job. And I'm not just saying that because you're on. You've known I've said that to you before, in terms of the voices in the podcasts that he does, and he entertains different people, different meetings and what's come out of them. And it's just really, really beneficial. So, on behalf of VLU, thank you, Anil, for what you do.
And thank you for leading this and creating this. This is an important venture, and I think it's going to serve many people on many platforms internationally.